Join the team.
Hey team, it's McGuire Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at some really cool tabletop RPG dice. Now these come from a company named InfiniDice, or these are called InfiniDice, and they have a Kickstarter going right now. These are metal dice, and they are awesome. I mean, these are probably one of the coolest metal dice sets that I've seen in a long time. And they have a very unique, just a uniqueness about them that is a little bit different than what you'll normally see. And they have different types of styles, too, that you can find on the Kickstarter. They also offer these little plastic, kind of clear, translucent dice towers. So if you're interested in these little castle-style dice towers, I thought these were actually pretty cool. They roll really well. I'll grab the Prometheus dice here, and we'll go through each one of them. They've got different names, but you can see they roll right down there through the tower nicely, kind of spiral down and then out into the tray that's in the front. So it's just a simple plastic dice tower, but it does have a really cool look to it, and I actually really like it. So they do have these as add-ons if you want to pick one of these up or you're interested in it. Otherwise, let's focus on the dice because that's where it's really at. Now, there's 3 sets that I have here for review and sample. We have got the Sirens Dice Set here, and it all follows this mythological different paths and Greek mythology you'll find around these sets, which I thought was a cool theming kind of around the designs of these as well. So you got the Sirens dice right here, and this is the Phantom Red. Now these are really interesting, and you'll see here on the miniature cam, Bear, hit us with the miniature cam, where each one of these dice do have a different look, feel, and design to them. It isn't just the same metal die with a different color. They are completely different. Totally different. So let's just take a look here with this D10 compared. This is a special set right here. This is one of the final unlocks. It's the final prophecy set. This is the Heralds Mystery. So this one's a really, really cool set here. But let's take a look at these D10s. This is actually the percentile die. That's something to know as well. You're getting a percentile die in the set. You can see how these 2 dice do look totally different in design. This has got very crisp, I don't want to say sharp, but just very crisp lines on it, where this has got lines that are a little bit smoother, a little bit wider, and then you have a nice thick metal all the way around the outside of there. Now the whole set isn't like that. The D6 does have a little bit of a thicker border and metal all the way around. These are zinc alloy. If you're interested in what types of metal is being used here, there's zinc alloy. Where these here, the D12 and the D20, still much thicker than what you're going to see from these other sets, but not as thick as like what you're going to see here on the percentile die or the D10. So they do have a really interesting look and feel. Also, the inside is an enamel. So it's a metal that's they CNC cut all the metal, and then this is an enamel fill on each one of these, and there's these really cool like gears that are back there sort of behind the enamel. So it's almost like the gears are cut out of the metal and it's at a different layer than the number, and then the enamel is put on where the enamel fills past the gears but doesn't fill past the number. And you'll be able to see that a little bit better on the close-up cam. But it's really cool the way that it looks, and you can kind of look through that enamel, and you can see the gears sort of down a layer through it, which those gears are painted red, and then that enamel is kind of a clear or a black, so it really gives you a really cool look and appearance when you're looking at those dice. They also feel great. They roll great. These are going to be a much heavier set, so I'll give you an example here, and we'll look at all 3 compared when we take a look at it. But you can hear the difference of the weight with this set. Okay, that's a much heavier, bulkier set. This is what I would consider like your standard true you know, when you think about metal dice, this is the weight that a metal die is going to really carry. These are a little bit bulkier, which is really cool. You can see they got a good look. All right. Now when we go to this set here, actually let's just jump to this set, and we'll finish here with our special. Well, they're all special, but I really like these. This is probably my favorite set. Although this is an extremely unique thing as well. So when we come here to the Prometheus Dice, this is the Le Soul version of those. It's a very interesting metal die, because it is in fact a metal die, but it does not carry the weight at all as what a metal die would carry. It carries more of the weight of what a resin die would be for each one of these. And I kind of tested it with some resin dice. It's very similar to the weight of like a standard resin die, maybe a little tad bit heavier, maybe just a tad bit heavier, but it's very similar. So for me, when I saw these and used them, I thought, well, maybe this is for the person that, you know, has always wanted that higher quality metal die, but doesn't like the weight of what a traditional metal die has, or doesn't maybe have the right type of, you know, they don't want to roll this in their tray, or they don't want to, there's lots of different reasons why. Some people love metal dice, some people do not. And usually it comes down to the fact of the weight of those dice, where these, they weigh the same as like a resin die would weigh, or something very close to it, because the whole center of those dice are hollowed out. It's essentially a skeletal frame of the die, and then the numbers are, the numbers are done in that sort of shiny metallic paint or enamel or metal or whatever they put on there to produce sort of that light fleck, those different colors, where you'll get the blues and the yellows and the purples. That's primarily, it gets a little bit of green on some of the numbers. That's pretty much all the colors that you're going to get. And then the inside of the chamber of each one of these dice are done with that coloring as well. So it almost appears like when they're sitting on the table that they're almost naturally glowing. It's really a unique effect that I don't know that I've seen before in another set of dice. I haven't personally seen anything like this, where I've seen dice that are hollowed out like this, but I haven't seen them to where like they almost appear like they're like light is like emitting or glowing from them as they're sitting there. And they do make these in a blue, as well as more of blue colors and more of red colors as well. And those almost seem to glow even more because it's all the same color, where this set has kind of all the colors. I just kind of prefer the all the colors. I just think it looks kind of neat. And you can also notice that these have a little bit of a jingle to them, which is interesting. Sounds nice, right? In rolling those, and you can see the difference there in the weight, right? So let's do and I'll do this again at the end, but let's just do a test here, and you can see what I mean, right? Both metal dice, right? See the difference? They're much lighter, and I think folks that have always wanted metal dice but maybe weren't crazy about the weight, you're gonna love these. They roll well, they feel good, and they look awesome. I mean, they just look awesome. Okay, so now let's go to the final prophecy, our last set here. This is the Heralds Mystery. This is a very, very unique set as well. It has got just a number of the intricacy and the detail that's cut into these dice was just really off the charts, in my opinion, from a metal dice perspective. And all the areas that are inset, they've got like a really cool kind of it feels almost like an enamel, but it's almost like if you took glitter and then mixed it with an enamel and poured it in all these cracks. That's what it feels like, because when I run my finger right there, it's different than the metal. It's really smooth. So it makes me think that glittery metallic on the inside of that is actually done with kind of some form of a metal shaving or a glitter or something like that that's been enameled. And then on the outside, it's all CNC laser cut. And just the amount of detail that are in these is really, really cool. And the way that the metal is done, where it's just got all the coloring that flecks off of there, these just look awesome. I'm going to tell you right now, this right here, These are my new Starfinder dice. This is what I'm going to use for Obadiah in Starfinder. All right, and you can see that's another traditional set of metal dice. They are not as, let's get a D20 and a D20. Well, that's not a good example, and I'll show you here in a second why. Let me get the D6s are a little bit different as well. These are D4s. They're pretty close. So I still feel like this one weighs a little bit more than this. So yes, these are metal dice, but this one really is just the bulkiest, heaviest set that I think that they have. But these still, they roll really well. They've got medium, they got medium weight for metal dice. You can see the difference there. So now we're going to kind of go do that drop test, so you can hear the difference in weight. Oh, that's a big boy. Big boy! Okay. Okay, so you can see these are definitely the heaviest set, medium, lighter. Okay, and that's kind of cool. It's something to know if you're checking out the Kickstarter and you do want to purchase one of these sets. If you're not a metal dice person, something to kind of know. They're kind of a little different offering here, and may be something that you would be really interested in, even if you're not a metal dice person, because of how these are designed. So that is InfiniDice's dice sets that I have here. I do highly recommend these. I will say that I have historically not really been a fan of metal dice. I prefer the resins or the stones or the crystals or the bone. I prefer other materials. I really, really like these metal dice. I like them a lot. I do think that I would use a set like this or this, just personally, much more, because they do carry a little bit of a lighter weight from a metal die perspective, and they just look, to me, these two just appear to have a visual quality that it's just an awesome experience. These here, definitely will use them, but probably not as much. That's probably, that's just my personal preference. But if you're into the heavy metal dice, you're really going to get that from this set here, as well as they carry another style that's called the Thor Dice. Those are going to be somewhat similar in weight and style. They will look a little bit different, but you can check them out there on the Kickstarter. And don't forget that the styles will be a little bit different. We talked about that in the beginning. The one last thing that I will show you is you can see here in the size of these D20s. You can see there how this set's D20 is just a smidge bigger than what you're going to find here in these other sets. These sets are the exact same size, but that D20 from this set, as well as the D6, is going to be a little bit bigger. Well, technically, pretty much all the dice are from this set. And then you kind of can see that comparison. These are identical in size. So this set here is going to offer a little bit of a bigger, little bit of a heftier die. Okay, so that's all we're going to look at today. If you're interested in these, go check them out on Kickstarter. They are currently live. They've got quite a bit of time left still. If you're interested, go check them out. Maybe this is something that's for you. And if you're into metal dice, trust me, you're going to love these. So hit that like, hit the subscribe button, join the team, keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.